The city seems to be buzzing today. What could be going on? How's it going, everybody? Meister Patrick here, and today we'll be doing the final cleanup episode of Gravity Rush Remastered for the PlayStation 4 before I, do the last two main missions, which should be concurrent, which means that there will be no time between the two. And that'll be it for this series, so let's get started. Challenge, Rift Plane Health Race. Take the challenge? I think I will. Rift Plane Health Race. Looking for a gold time of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Your health gauge is almost empty. Duck and weave through the lava and Nevi to reach the finish. Bust objects with a gravity kick to get a speed boost. Oh, I didn't know that was in this game. Maybe that's why I always have such a hard time. Maybe I'll bust objects more. I don't know. Alright, let's kick this off. As you can see, we have like almost no health. So, I'm going to try to do the best I can. But it's going to be a lot of me focusing, probably full focus here. Because I expect this will be pretty difficult to do. Oh my goodness, especially if I miss stuff. Please don't die. And I think if I get hit like one... Oh no, I have a couple hits in me. Oh my goodness, please move. Yay! Yeah, there's a lot of like... trying not to die. I'm pretty sure. Oh, health. Health is nice. See how that works out for me. And, did I hit it? Oh my goodness, I hit it. Yay! Where's the next one? Right there. Where's the next one? Right there. Haha! I think as long as I keep moving, I should be fine. But it's going to be really, really tight and focused. Me focusing a whole lot. Hot. Yes, I know. Oh my goodness. And I went right through lava. Whatever. Whatever I got, I'll have to take. Oh my goodness, did I get it? I got it. Woo. Okay. Oh, this is probably fast. What's going on? That took forever. Okay. I have a lot of health now, though. But, how close am I? Not too close, I'm thinking. Oh, come on. Come on, keep moving. Almost there. And by almost there, I mean not even close. Yeah, I remember this being very difficult. Oh, come on. Go. Okay, doing fine. Go this way now. Hit that one. Come on. Go. I think I can still make this. I think it said I got a speed boost for breaking things. So I'm like trying to break stuff. Maybe? I'm not sure. Okay. Still doing alright, I think. I assume this is how they intended you to do this, is by kicking. But I'm feeling like really pressed for time, so... I think I'm doing alright. Yeah, I think the last time I tried to do this, I didn't try to break anything. So maybe that was the issue, but I don't know. How are we doing? I think we're still doing fine. I know this isn't the most insightful commentary in the world, but I am like stressed to my knees. I don't know what that means. Okay, I'm still doing fine though. I think I can still make it. I just gotta go. Gotta take a little shortcut, I think. See how that works out for me. And then I want to go that way. Okay. I'm still alive. I think at this point I want to switch to this mode. Yes. Did I forget something? Oh no. I don't think I can make it. That's it. I think I failed. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, there's no way. I still have time though. If only I can get to the floor. I literally just have one requirement. That's to touch the floor. And I can go. Oh my goodness, I did it. That was so bad. Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess you must get a speed boost from breaking stuff. Because I remember that being like so close in my previous playthroughs. I did it though. And that makes me happy. I thought for sure, I mean, you saw how much I messed up. I thought I got like a perfect run before. But no, you see that gets crazy towards the end. I don't know how I made that. It must be you get a speed boost from breaking stuff. I didn't realize before. So I was like trying to avoid breaking stuff because it like bounces you off and stuff. That's awesome. I didn't get a reputation increase, I guess. Alright guys, I double checked to be sure, but there was in fact no reputation increase. So the rest of this episode is just going to be me exploring Venice Center and showing you guys all the sights while collecting gems and discussing some of the recent events that have come up and how they affect our perspective of this whole universe. So if you're interested in that, stick around. If you're not, then come back next time for the beginning of the end for Gravity Rush. There's probably up to 4 more episodes, as few as 2 more episodes, maybe even 1 episode if the next 2 missions are short. I don't know. You'll see, but I definitely suggest coming back next time if this isn't for you. If this is for you, then hello and welcome to the last lore discussion, probably on Gravity Rush, before I might talk a little bit in the credits, but we'll see. Let's get right to it. There's a lot of gems to collect, and there's a lot of stuff in Venice Center to see, so let's hop to it. This is always a lot of fun to just, I don't know, this has always been my favorite part of the game. This is why I started doing these episodes where I just collected gems, because to me that was like what Gravity Rush was about, was just running around, collecting gems, seeing the sights, you know, learning the map. It's why you don't really see me using the map too often in this game. Or I don't know from your guys' perspective how much I've actually, it seems like I use the map or don't, but I can assure you I hardly ever use the map to get around, just because I know where everything is from exploring, from doing this gravity gem collecting sort of thing. I think it was a really well designed aspect of this game to include something to encourage you to look around. So this is an open world game, right? And a big question in open world games recently has been whether or not they use their open world effectively. And so I'd say this game doesn't too much. I think this does do some things well, but as far as like, you know, did this game have to be open world? Maybe not necessarily. So, you know, sort of one of the first games that's made the modern open world style of games was the Assassin's Creed series, where they just had these big open worlds with nothing really in them. It was just like a hub to get from mission to mission. And Gravity Rush follows sort of the Assassin's Creed style formula, where it's just kind of an empty open world that gives you a way to get between missions. So, does Gravity Rush do it any better than those old Assassin's Creed games? Well, I think so, to some degree. If you look at something like the old Banjo-Kazooie games, they have very small maps. Yay! For the purpose of getting to know the map really well, and sort of every time you get to a position in that map, you're like, oh yeah, I remember this. This is, you know, this whatever. I'm in, you know, this place that I remember from, you know, last time I played it. And Gravity Rush actually, at least this one, the remastered, the Vita version, Gravity Rush 1, it's very samey look. It's all very Eastern European architecture as the inspiration for all the buildings. And so you think that all the places blend together. You'd be like, oh, if I were to see any random screenshot of Gravity Rush, could you name where it took place, right? There's a lot of classic games where you go, I mean, if you look at like Mario games, right? Or if Mario Odyssey has an open world, right? If you were to look at a screenshot, you'd be like, oh, I know exactly what world that's in. But could you do that for Gravity Rush, right? I mean, the sky's always green, the buildings are always brown. You know, who knows? And I would say that personally I could. I am really familiar with the game, with the levels. And I think that's because of this gem collecting that they added to the game. So back to why I brought up Assassin's Creed in the first place, is they had feather collection, where you could go around the map and collect feathers. And all the Assassin's Creed games had this sort of like, you know, collectathon type random open world thing that didn't really give you much, like these gems. I don't really need these gems, right? Like, I'm mainly doing these gems collecting because it's fun to run around in this world. And so the same thing for Assassin's Creed. I think the feathers were more of a reward for the just kind of enjoying the, you know, give you a reason to run around. The parkour was kind of new. It was one of the first games to use that sort of like moving through the world in a more open sort of way with the parkour system. And so the feathers gave you a way to sort of just give you an excuse to use that, right? To mess with that. That's why they put it in the game. So same thing with these flying mechanics. Is like, you always fly around everywhere, but this kind of gives you a reason to just spend time focusing on, you know, learning the controls and learning how to fly. And it's especially important for this game and for Assassin's Creed, but less so for Assassin's Creed, honestly. Just because the control scheme is very different. There's no game that plays like Gravity Rush. There's no game that requires you to move the camera in all sorts of confusing ways that, you know, might be hard to get a sense of where you are at any time. And especially if you're like in narrow corridors like this. But I mean, normally they leave you in open spaces. The only real narrow places you have to shift in are, I think, in Gravity Rush 2, there's a whole zone, or in the Inferno, the Rift Plane. That one's kind of close together. But for the most part, you're in these big open spaces where you have plenty of room to move your camera around. And a lot of people have difficulty with the controls. They say that, you know, a lot of reviews for this game you look up will say that the game controls poorly or whatever. Like, oh, this game, it's hard to control. It's not hard to control. It controls pretty well. There are some instances where you can be a little, I don't know what to call it, flustered. Like you just saw me when I had enemies everywhere and I was just trying to touch the ground. That sort of thing will get you, kind of messed up. But I think that's, yeah, and, it's like, then you feel like you're battling the controls instead of battling the enemies. But it's less so the controls and more so that the enemies give you knockback. And so if I'm, it's like, oh, I just want to touch the ground, but enemies are hitting me, which is knocking me into the air. And so it's, I don't know if those are the controls so much as just the way that the fighting is designed. I think the controls for this game are great. And I think I probably already said it, but this game controls completely uniquely. There's no other games in the world that controls like this one. So I think a lot of the times people who are complaining about how difficult this game was to control are more so just not used to never knowing a control scheme before. These people who review games obviously have played tons and tons of games. That's why they got into reviewing them. And so they are used to being able to pick up, any shooter and be able to play it easily and not really have any difficulty, just because all shooters kind of play the same, all platformers play the same. There's lots of conventions like, oh, the bottom button of the face buttons is going to be jump, right? Which it is in this game. X is jump, because it's a PlayStation controller. But for a game like this, there's no real convention about like how should you control gravity, how should you control the way that you fall and the way that you can move the camera. A lot of games have the issue where if you try to look up, usually you could only look like straight up before you have to, like, I don't know how to describe this without being able to actually show it in the game. But normally you look up, and then when you press left, it does, instead of, you see this goes perfectly left? Normally it would go like up and left, like this. If I was just holding left, it would do something like that, which is hard to do in this game because the camera actually controls freely instead of being limited. And so even games like Windlands, if you look up too far, you can only look straight up and you can't look any further back before you have to start holding right to get to like the other side, and then you can start going back. But then you'll always be right side up, alternatively. This game, you can of course go upside down with the camera, and you have free camera movement, which is really important because you can go anywhere. Which I guess going anywhere brings me back to the point of how well these levels are designed. So these worlds are not too big. Like if I were to get from one side to the other, you'd see it really doesn't take too long. But the verticality is everything in this game. I mean, I can stand on any surface, just walking from one side of the map to the other, not a big deal, right? I mean, it's kind of a small map. Walking down the street, it's like, yeah, it's the park's like right over here, for example, if you guys are familiar at all with this map. The park's right over there. The place where I did recruiting is right over there. Where I met Audreau is right down there on that platform, you can see. Just everything's right here, right? But also, I'm walking down this street, or if I wanted to, I can walk down this street. And here we go. Now I have a completely, more map to walk across. And then there's also up here. Whoops. Sorry, I'm used to Gravity Rush 2. You have to fall a little bit. There we go. Yeah, right, you can also walk up here. And then there's also this side of this building, right? And now suddenly, oh, okay, this map is huge, right? It goes on and on. So that's the thing. You look at places like GTA 5 or Witcher 3 is sort of lauded as being, these gigantic maps, or Final Fantasy 15, these like gigantic maps is like, wow, it takes so long to get from one side to the other and all that. But games, especially Final Fantasy 15, there's no verticality at all, right? Any buildings or anything like that that are in your way, they're just in the way. That's all they are. You can't go up them. You can't go on top of them. You can't go, you just have to go around them. And so the amount of walking space is much smaller, I'd say, than something like, well, Gravity Rush 1, you think this is big. Gravity Rush 2 is huge. There's so much to the map, but it gets that advantage of, so because it can make use of that space, this ends up being like, I think, I would guess Gravity Rush 2 is one of the biggest open world maps. Not because the square area is so big, but because you can step on any surface and everywhere is part of the map, right? If you were to lay it out all flat, I think it would be bigger than, you know, those Final Fantasies or Grand Theft Autos is what I'm saying. And so to that degree, it can work in both ways. It has the benefit of a large open map, the impressive scale of being able to go everywhere and anywhere and all these nooks and crannies. But then it also takes advantage of having a really small map like Banjo-Kazooie does, in that I know where everything is because nothing's that far away from each other, because all of this building, right, has so much walkable space. Normally, if I was playing, you know, Final Fantasy, right, the map would be, you know, I can go around this building in a circle, and that would be it, right? And there we go. I covered all the space this building has to offer. In Gravity Rush, of course, there's all this side, and all the side next to it, and all the side next to it, and the side behind me, of course. So that's, you know, 4 total sides that I have to walk in order to cover the area of this building. But in the perspective of, like, where everything is in this world, it is just this one building, right? It just sits right here, and I can go around it pretty easily and get to anywhere. It's like if I could, like, teleport across the map, right? That would be the only way you could achieve this sort of thing in, like, Grand Theft Auto, is if you could walk, like, through buildings or something, and then just make it a much smaller world. And so I love it. I love the intimacy of the worlds in Gravity Rush, and how I personally can instantly recognize any location just because you spend so much time in it, because of the way that they, you know, added this gem collecting mechanic, which is why I wanted to show this off. I think that was the whole point of this long rant. I don't know how long I've been talking about this, but long story short, TLDR, too long didn't read. The reason I show off this gem collecting is because I hope that you guys can be as familiar with these maps as I am and love them as much as I do. For example, this apple, iconic. Apparently this is like a movie production studio that I'm standing on top of. I only know that because of the gallery. That's what they call it in the concept art. But this apple, oh my goodness, as soon as I saw it in Gravity Rush 2, I blew my mind. I was like, oh, it's just, it brought back like nostalgia for a game that I just played like 2 years ago, just because, you know, everything feels so familiar and so intimate in this game, because, you know, all this time you spend running around collecting gems, you really get to know the map a lot better. So this is the clock tower. It's the clock tower right there. And the picture that we see on Gravity Rush 2 shows you standing like way up here. I don't know if I could show it, because you're like in line with the clock tower. Hopefully I can show the picture. But you're like this high where you can actually see the clock and everything, but you're down this like narrow corridor of buildings. So it looks something like this, but these buildings aren't close enough together. The buildings on that side are close enough together, but they're like way too far down. So I don't know what that concept art's a picture of. It's probably just, you know, concept art. They didn't actually put it into the game, but it looks good. I love all the concept art in this game. I love looking at it. I love doing all the interactions with the Gravity Rush world. It's great. I don't know how many gems I'm gonna have to collect. So as anyone who's been keeping up with the series should know, hopefully you're not coming in here, this is your first episode, then please go back and watch the entire series. This is a weird random episode to jump into. But I recently got a power I opened my eyes to see the things that were always there. So there's actually more gems in this location than there are in any of the other locations so far. So this episode's going to be a little bit longer than my normal gem collecting episodes, which is good for me because I haven't even gotten into the lore discussion yet. And I'm just collecting stuff still. I'm still on the top half. I haven't even gotten down below the city. My goodness, I'm actually personally surprised with how many gems are. Venice Center is the largest location, in addition to there being more gems than there normally are. Plus I'm wasting time explaining stuff and, you know, all that. So let's get into some lore discussion, shall we? What did I want to talk about? So the first thing was Audro and what he introduced to the series. So you might be wondering, like, I don't know if they'll explain this, so I didn't want to spoil it. But in case you didn't get the hint from that level that we played, those beacons seem to be either so there was experimentation in the artificial precious gems experiments that we heard about from the mysterious couple. So they're trying to figure out what causes gravitational pressure or concentrated gravitational energy. That's how we find out that the Nevi are attracted to the concentrated gravitational energy, which I've been sort of talking about throughout the whole series, why the Nevi attack people and all that. But that was the mission where it was told to us outright why the Nevi are here and why they're attacking us. And the answer is that they are attracted to gravitational energy. And so the little tidbit we got from that level was that he said when the instrument was put next to Dusty, or us, I guess the Gravity Queen, little Miss Cat here, the readings were off the charts. They were a higher concentration of gravitational energy than anywhere else, even higher than where the Nevi were, which are, so that we sort of get an indication that Dusty, our little companion here, is a large concentration of gravitational energy. And that mission that we just did, where we had the dream of Alias telling us that Dusty, he said, if you overfeed your cat, you know, all that. He was talking about us collecting gems and upgrading Dusty. What we're doing is these precious gems are concentrated gravitational energy, and we're feeding them to Dusty to upgrade our power. But what that's doing is making his gravitational concentration even higher, right? It's going up with every precious gem we feed to him, because I don't think he poops out precious gems. He's not a... He's a... Well, so, like, you know, earlier in the game, we sort of got a hint that Dusty might be a Nevi, with the first Rift Plane... No, the third Rift Plane, when he ate Nevi side and lost his power. So that's kind of, I think, is supposed to be a hint that Dusty is a Nevi of sorts. And then there was the Echo storyline, Echo and Newt, where we learned that the Nevi aren't necessarily bad, because she befriends Newt, or Echo befriends a Nevi. So Dusty being a Nevi, you might think, oh, he can't be a Nevi because Nevi attack people and Dusty never attacks anyone. But that's not necessarily true, because we saw that Nevi can befriend people, potentially, with because it befriended Echo. So that's what all that was about with Audro, and that gave you a little taste of what was going on with what Alias was trying to tell us. So let me think. I'm trying to think if there's anything else important with Audro. I think that was the main thing. The main thing is that they're experimenting with trying to determine where Nevi appear and why they appear and what they're after and all that. And that's how we found out that the Nevi are attracted to gravitational energy. So I think I've said it before, but it's worth repeating because, again, that was the mission that told us all this stuff. So the reason that Nevi attack us and not people, you know, they always claim that Nevi attack people, but we never see them attack people. They always attack us instead. And the reason for that is that they are attracted to high concentrations of gravitational energy. And so we've been collecting high concentrations of gravitational energy, and so we just look like the, you know, thickest filet mignon steak, the juiciest rare, you know, filet mignon steak to these guys. They're like, oh baby, I wants me some of that. So that's why, oh, that was weird. So that's why they attack us and not citizens whenever we're around. Assumedly, again, I've said this before, but you know, this is the place to mention it if I were to ever mention it. The citizens are attacked if we're not around. We assume. The best instance we got of that is, whoopsie daisy. Best instance we got of that was the mission where we're trying to save citizens. I believe it was a side mission, actually, where we're saving citizens from a Nevi attack. We're trying to we're trying to absorb Nevi, using the Nevi collector to capture live Nevi. So the reason for that is that Nevi are themselves high concentrations of gravitational energy, like Dusty here. So the military is attempting to collect Nevi because they are more high density gravitational entities than the precious gems are. The precious gems are less concentrated energy, because it's just like food, right? It's the same thing as like the amount of energy in a human versus the amount of energy in or it's the amount of energy in a cow versus the amount of energy in grass, right? You have to get, you know, obviously a field of grass has way more energy than a single cow, but a single cow has way more energy than a single grass, or even probably enough grass of the same. If you look at, you know, calorie content, right? Meats are always higher calories than vegetables because meats have higher concentrations of energy. Same idea. The Nevi, which eat precious gems, are higher concentrations of gravitational energy than the precious gems that they eat are. So hopefully that's clear. Hopefully I didn't overcomplicate that, but that is what is going on with the Audro and everything we learned there. We also learned that Audro works for Danelka, of course, which, you know, sad days. He seemed like a nice guy. He's kind of sleazy though, in my opinion. I don't know, that's how I tried to play him off anyway. But yeah, look at all these military guys. Hello, friend. I'm just looking for precious gems, by the way. If it looks like I'm wandering around aimlessly, I'm looking for precious gems. Yeah, I know there's more down there. I'm trying I'm trying to get to the loop line stations because there's entrances next to them. So I know where I'm going now. I just need to get over there. Hey guys, so unfortunately this video ended up going on a lot longer than I expected it to. This is actually the halfway point, so because of that I decided to cut it in half. Part 40 of the series will be recorded after part 41, where part 41 is going to be the second half of this episode, and part 40 is going to be the beginning of the last set of story missions. I hope you enjoyed this episode so far. If you'd like to get more Meister, then make sure to check out some of the other content we have on this channel. Also, if you want to stay updated, to make sure you come back for part 40 and 41 and the last couple episodes we'll have left in this series, then make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you got the time, I always appreciate comments, and if you don't, make sure to utilize that like-dislike bar. Until next time, Zoink out.